Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Trump ends Iran meeting without a deal. Aides say agreement possible only if Tehran agrees to all conditions. Myanmar's president arrives in New Delhi from Bodh Gaya, reflecting the spiritual, historical and people-to-people ties between the two countries. India sends sacred relics of Buddha's chief disciples to Mongolia for public viewing. And Ebola cases on the rise in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Health authorities report a sharp surge in suspected infections across affected regions. As questions swirled about the state of negotiations to end the US-Iran war, President Donald Trump said that he will only make peace with Iran if it meets all of his conditions. The White House had indicated that President Trump was close to a decision on a potential deal, even as Tehran insisted that there was still no final agreement on ending the conflict. President Trump attended a 2-hour meeting in the White House Situation Room on Friday but did not reach a decision. In a social media post, President Trump said Tehran would remove mines from the Strait of Hormuz and end its blockade of the waterway with no tolls, while the US would lift its parallel blockade of Iranian ports. A deal was in the offing to extend a truce in place since early April for another 60 days. To allow oil and gas shipments to resume through the strategic waterway while negotiators tackle tricky issues such as Iran's nuclear program. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said that no final understanding has been reached in ongoing talks with the United States. He said Tehran remains focused on ending the conflict rather than discussing nuclear details. He rejected Western demands, saying that Iran makes decisions based on its own national interests and would not accept the language of must. The two countries still appear to differ on significant issues that have been central to the conflict. The deal was waiting on Trump's sign-off following weeks of halting negotiations over a conflict that has engulfed the West Asian region and shaken the global economy. The United States issued new counter-terrorism sanctions on Friday targeting Iranian individuals and entities, among others. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Friday that any removal of the U.S. financial and economic blockade on Iran would be slow. He said U.S. had seized $1 billion in Iranian cryptocurrency assets as part of the economic component of President Trump's war on the Islamic Republic. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth said U.S. is ready to restart attacks on Iran if a deal cannot be reached, as negotiators from Washington, D.C. and Tehran work to bridge major differences blocking an agreement. Hegseth was speaking at the Shangri-La Dialogue, Asia's premier forum for defense leaders, militaries and diplomats. He said the U.S. has more than sufficient stockpiles of weapons. Hegseth is leading a bumper U.S. delegation to the event that provides chances for both open debate and behind-closed-doors diplomacy.
Our ability to recommence if necessary is we are more than capable. Our stockpiles are more than suited for that, both there and around the globe, because of how we balance exquisite and more plentiful munitions. So we're in a very good place.
Hegseth also said that the U.S. has not turned its back on the Asia-Pacific region despite being engaged in the conflict with Iran. He said there was a rightful alarm over Beijing's military buildup, but the U.S. sought a respectful regional balance.
The President has constantly articulated is a genuinely stable equilibrium that works for Americans as well as our allies. A favorable but durable balance in power in which no state, including China, can impose its hegemony and hold the security or prosperity of our nation and our allies in question.
Moving on to Israel-Lebanon tensions now, military officials from both nations held productive talks in Washington, D.C. on Friday, a U.S. official said, adding that the meeting will complement upcoming diplomatic discussions. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Friday that his country's forces had pushed deeper into Lebanon, even as Israeli and Lebanese military delegations were holding landmark security talks in Washington, D.C. A truce to halt the fighting between Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah group was supposed to have taken effect on 17th April, but has never been observed. Both sides accused each other of violating it and justified the attacks by the other's alleged breaches. The United Nations has said its peacekeeping mission in southern Lebanon continues to observe intensive Israeli military air and ground activity across the UN interim force in Lebanon area of operations, including activity reported north of the Litani River, and said access and emergency response capacity remain severely constrained.
Elsewhere in Lebanon, local authorities tell us that repeated evacuation orders are forcing families to flee repeatedly and then return to their homes as security conditions shift. The humanitarian and resident coordinator for Lebanon, Imran Riza, said today he's deeply alarmed by the intensification of hostilities and the impact of evacuation orders by Israel have on communities across the country. In a statement, he referred to reports that airstrikes have harmed civilians as they attempted to leave areas under displacement orders, stressing that international humanitarian law clearly states that civilians, including health workers and first responders, must be protected.
Amid renewed tensions in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky have made fresh remarks on the situation. President Putin said his 9th May remarks about the conflict eventually ending were based on Russia's assessment of battlefield advances. He also rejected Western claims that Russia is preparing for a war with Europe, calling those allegations false. He further slammed Western media coverage of what Moscow described as a Ukrainian drone attack on a student dormitory in Russian-controlled Luhansk that Russian authorities say killed 21 people. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv remains focused on weakening Russia's effort and accused Russia of preparing a major new attack on Ukraine. In his nightly video address, Zelensky accused Russia, saying Ukrainian authorities have information about a new large-scale Russian strike and that Ukrainian defense services are prepared. Ebola cases are on the rise in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with health authorities reporting a sharp surge in suspected infections across affected regions. Congo's Public Health Minister Samuel Roger Kamba said on Saturday that the number of suspected Ebola cases has increased to 1,028 from 906 reported a day earlier. He said that confirmed cases now stand at 225 as authorities continue surveillance, testing and response measures in the affected areas.
If you go by yesterday's figures, I will tell you that we are at around 1,000 suspected cases, as I announced, perhaps 1,028 suspected cases. That is hardly any different from yesterday. But what is new today and will become even more so is that we significantly improve laboratory capacity from tomorrow. I will be able to tell you how many cases of Ebola we have. Today I can tell you that with all the tests we have carried out since the start of this outbreak up to today, we have 225 cases of Ebola.
Reflecting the strong spiritual, historical and people-to-people ties between Myanmar and India, the President of Myanmar, U Min Aung Hlaing, began his India visit from Bodh Gaya. The visiting leader offered his prayers at Mahabodhi Temple. During his visit to New Delhi, the President of Myanmar will hold discussions with Prime Minister Modi on Sunday on further strengthening the historical and civilizational ties between the two countries. He will also participate in a business forum. Myanmar lies at the confluence of India's Neighbourhood First, Act East and Mahasagar policies. The official visit of President Min Aung Hlaing to India is expected to further strengthen and deepen the multifaceted ties between the two countries. The visiting dignitary, the President of Myanmar, Min Aung Hlaing, was given a warm welcome upon his arrival in New Delhi from Bodh Gaya. The visiting head of state of Myanmar was received by Minister of State for External Affairs Kirtivardhan Singh at the airport. The visit provides an opportunity to further strengthen the bilateral partnership. The sacred relics of Arahant Sariputra and Arahant Mahamoggallana, Gautam Buddha's chief disciples, were ceremoniously placed at Gandan Monastery in Ulaanbaatar, capital of Mongolia, in the presence of former President of Mongolia, Nambaryan Engbagyar. Assam's Governor Lakshman Prasad Acharya and Mongolia Education Minister Enganggalan Lufsantaren were also present during the ceremony conducted by Supreme Abbot of the Gandan Monastery. India's ambassador to Mongolia, Atul Malhari Gotsurve, informed DD India that the exposition of the relics will be inaugurated for public veneration at the Gandan Monastery from 1st to 10th June. For Mongolia, the arrival of these relics carry great importance. Thousands of devotees are expected to benefit from this global spiritual and meditative effort. The 2022 display of the Buddha's own Kapilavastu relics had drawn nearly 200,000 devotees. The relics, part of the AA category of Indian antiquities, were sent to Mongolia as part of a special request made by the Mongolian president to India's Prime Minister during his visit to New Delhi last year. These sacred relics are from the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Sanchi Stupa belong to two of Lord Buddha's most prominent disciples, Sariputra and Moggallana. Earlier, the relics were sent with deep reverence from the National Museum in New Delhi to the Palam Air Force Station and further onwards to the Borjhar Air Force Station, where Assam's Governor Lakshman Prasad Acharya paid obeisance to these ancient sacred relics.
हमारे और मंगोलिया के संबंध बहुत पुराने ऐतिहासिक, सांस्कृतिक और सभ्यतागत बहुत पुराना रिश्ता रहा है। हम समझते हैं कि इस प्रकार के कार्यक्रमों से इस रिश्ते को और मजबूती मिलेगी और जो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम विश्व बंधुत्व का भाव है आगे बढ़ेगा। भगवान बुद्ध का जो करुणा, सत्य, अहिंसा आदि का जो उनका विचार है ये दूर तक आगे बढ़ेगा।
The current exposition of Buddha's chief disciples' relics is being organized by India's Ministry of Culture in coordination with the International Buddhist Confederation to strengthen the spiritual and civilizational bonds between the two countries.
With the initiative of the Government of India, we are taking the holy relics of Shariputra and Moggallana to Mongolia, and this has been kind of a unique kind of event for between the both countries, because the last time when the President of Mongolia came to India, he has a very comprehensive discussion with the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and requested that the India should kind of bring in the holy relics of the two prominent disciples of the Buddha Shakyamuni for the display in Mongolia.
In Laos, specialist divers rescued one man from a flooded cave on Friday, while 4 others remained trapped and 2 are still missing. A video posted Saturday showed divers teaching the survivors to use equipment and breathe safely. 7 Lao nationals had entered the cave to search for gold, but the exit was blocked after heavy rain triggered a landslide, leaving them stranded for more than 1 week. Search and rescue operations are ongoing. And still to come on DD India Live. Chief Election Commissioner says India's electoral framework continues to earn global recognition for holding free, fair and transparent elections. And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurates the Nausena Shaurya Vatika in Lucknow.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium, we'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The Election Commission of India on Saturday reiterated its commitment to transparency, accuracy and inclusiveness in the electoral process. Addressing a legal conference in New Delhi, Chief Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar highlighted the success of the SIR of electoral rolls, credibility of EVMs and the robust legal scrutiny that India's election management system has consistently passed. He emphasized that India's electoral framework continues to earn global recognition for holding free, fair and transparent elections.
Part 2 is signed by each and every counting agent of the candidate sitting beside the table. And only after that, those results are announced. With having this kind of transparency, the Election Commission of India and the elections in India have gained widespread appreciation.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Saturday inaugurated the Nausena Shaurya Vatika in Lucknow. The Nausena Shaurya Vatika has been developed as an open-air naval museum dedicated to the bravery, sacrifice, technological excellence and maritime legacy of the Indian Navy. On the occasion, the minister said India is moving towards complete self-reliance in the defence sector.
भारत का रक्षा क्षेत्र अब पूर्ण रूप से आत्मनिर्भर होने की ओर तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है मेरे बहनों भाइयों। और पिछले 10 वर्षों में हम सभी लोगों ने मिलकर जो मेहनत की है उसका परिणाम आज हमें मिल रहा है। 2014 में हमारा घरेलू रक्षा उत्पादन मात्र 46,000 करोड़ रुपया था। यानी हम लोग भारत में सिर्फ 46,000 करोड़ रुपए के हथियार और सारे सब मिला जुलाकर 46,000 करोड़ रुपए के सारे साजो सामान बना पाते थे। लेकिन आज वही बढ़कर 1.5 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक हो चुका है।
At the International Institute for Strategic Studies, Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh emphasized the growing collaboration between India and European defence companies. In his address on Saturday, Defence Secretary noted that several European firms are already working closely with India. He said that in the near future, this partnership with the European Union is expected to align with India's defence requirements and strengthen cooperation in meeting future needs.
We already have a large number of European OEMs working with small and medium industry in the country. We have several large orders as well, many of them involving buy and make, meaning we buy a small quantity from there and the rest of it is to be at least assembled in India. The transport aircraft under Airbus is one example, but there are more examples coming in terms of underwater for submarines and maybe other military aircraft as well. So with that, the agreement, the strategic partnership agreement with EU and the fact that perhaps European technology and India's labor arbitrage and scale can work together to meet both our needs.
The outgoing Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, received a ceremonial Guard of Honour in the national capital on Saturday, marking the culmination of his tenure as the country's top military officer. The ceremonial farewell comes as General Chauhan completes his extended tenure as CDS and Secretary, Department of Military Affairs, which was approved by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet on 24th September 2025, extending his service up to 30th May or until further orders. At the ceremonial farewell, he also laid a wreath at the National War Memorial. Commissioned into the Indian Army in 1981, General Chauhan had a long and distinguished military career spanning over 4 decades, holding key command and staff appointments. During Operation Sindoor, he played a vital role in spearheading India's shift to multi-domain, non-contact warfare.
Great honor for me to suffer and wait with the Tri-Services Guard of Honor. I thank the three services and Headquarter IDS for it. With the conclusion of the Guard of Honor, I bid farewell to my colleagues in uniform, comrades in arms forever. I just laid the wreath at the War Memorial for the last time in uniform as a humble tribute to those who laid down their lives in the line of duty.
The Research and Information System for Developing Countries, or RIS, is celebrating its 44th Foundation Day on Saturday. Marking the occasion, the New Delhi-based think tank has organized a high-level conference on strengthening India-Africa partnership for agricultural transformation at the India Habitat Center. Minister of State for External Affairs Pabitra Margarita delivered the inaugural address virtually. Minister Margarita said RIS remains as relevant today as when it was founded, adding that India can build strong coalitions and that future global competition will increasingly be economic.
Over the past 4 decades, RIS has evolved into one of India's leading policy research institutions, consistently aligning its work with India's foreign policy priorities and the broader aspirations of the global South. What makes RIS particularly important is its ability to combine scholarship with policy relevance. Its work in areas such as trade, global economic governance, regional integration, and development cooperation has helped support informed policymaking at a time when the global landscape is becoming increasingly complex.
To sports news now, star Indian duo of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty stormed into the Singapore Open badminton tournament final on Saturday. The Indian pair prevailed over reigning world champions Kim Won-ho and Seo Seong-jae of South Korea 21-19, 21-18 in the semi-final. The match was a closely contested affair with Ho and Jae holding a narrow lead at the break in the opening game. But Satvik and Chirag made a remarkable comeback by earning crucial points to pocket the opening game. It was not smooth sailing for the Indian duo in the second game as well, but they maintained their composure to come from behind and upset the Korean pair. However, it was curtains for Dhruv Kapila and Tanisha Crasto as they lost 16-21, 21-17, 13-21 to the Japanese pair of Yuichi Shimogami and Sayaka Hobara in the mixed doubles semi-finals. Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia inaugurated the multi-purpose indoor sports complex in Shillong ahead of the 2027 National Games in the northeastern state of Meghalaya. The complex has been designed to host multiple sporting disciplines including basketball, badminton and volleyball. The occasion also witnessed the signing of the revised host state contract for the 39th National Games between the Indian Olympic Association and the Meghalaya government. Minister Mandavia, Minister of State Raksha Khadse, Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma and others were present. The minister said Meghalaya has become an important partner in the country's mission to strengthen sports infrastructure and promote a sporting culture among youths.
आज मैं प्रत्यक्ष रिव्यू करने के लिए यहाँ आया हूँ, मैंने तैयारी देखी, उससे मैं अवश्य कहूँगा कि 2027 के नेशनल गेम्स भारत के स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टर में एक नया आयाम के रूप में स्थापित होगी.
In the Doa region of West Bengal, India, havoc struck amongst the locals as multiple herds of elephants enter the residential area and even a school campus in the Dhupgiri subdivision. Take a look.
Panic gripped parts of the Dooars region in West Bengal on Saturday after multiple elephant herds, including several calves, strayed into tea gardens, residential areas and even a school campus in the Dhupgiri subdivision. A herd of more than 50 elephants was spotted in the Haldibari tea garden area, while 2 elephants entered the Gurumari area near Dhupguri town, triggering concern among residents. A police official said coordinated efforts by the Forest Department, police and local volunteers were underway to monitor the situation and ensure public safety.
It is becoming challenging, but despite that, people are doing a very good job. We have a lot of support from NGOs and the Forest Department staff. They are working day and night, and there has been no problem with the duty arrangements. It may be a matter of timing. The elephants might have come in search of food, and by the time they were returning, it had become morning, so perhaps they were unable to go back.
Some local residents said the sudden arrival of elephants near residential areas triggered panic, while authorities asked the people to leave the area. According to officials, the elephants were being monitored as they continued to move around the region.
And with that as a wrap, you can get the latest news on our mobile app on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development.